What's up, guys? Shane here. Welcome back to H.U.M.A.N, Humanity's United Martial Arts Network. I am being replaced by Vince the Anomaly. What's up, Vince?
What's up, guys?
And I am replacing Marcus Kowal. We have a special guest today. Check it out. Marcus Kowal. And I just want to make one thing clear. We don't have Marcus on today because we're having trouble finding guests for the show. I knew that having you as the host, we'd get something out of you, but I'd really like to take this episode to just learn more about you so that the viewers, the listeners, can learn too.
Thank you. I was actually thinking about it as I was driving over here, and I'm like, I've been on so many podcasts, but it's a little bit different today because you two know me much better than most. So you can ask questions that a lot of people can't ask or get a little deeper in certain areas. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, excited for that. We have some, we've partied, we've cuddled in the desert.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
So, what's latest? What's latest and greatest? I know you just got finished a 52-mile run, which took you how long? 17 hours?
17 hours and 5 minutes.
52 miles. What was this all about?
So it was for the nonprofit Liam's Life Foundation. That's our nonprofit. And my brother asked me. I knew I was going to do a long distance run. I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something special leading up to the 4th of September was the anniversary of Liam. And for those not familiar with the story, liamslife.org, my son was killed by a drunk driver. And when we were running in the desert, which was your bachelor party.
Was that in March?
March, April, May, June. So that's when I started I want to do something. I want to do something special. And then my brother hit me up. I had 3.5 months to prepare for this.
Right, you had never done a long distance run. What's the furthest you've done before this?
I did a marathon in 2004. And when I did that, it was because someone challenged me and said, "Oh, I know you're a fighter, but I don't know if you could run a marathon." And I said, "What was your time?" And she said, 4 hours, 20 minutes. I'm like, "Watch, I'll do around 4 hours." And the furthest I went before that was 10 miles.
Wow.
So leading up to the marathon, I did it in 4 hours and 56 seconds. So I didn't do it under 4 hours.
Did you train for that?
No, I ran 10 miles once. I had 2 weeks to get ready for that marathon.
So you start this run. What time of day is it? Set the scene.
So we were supposed to start at 4 a.m.
At the Grand Canyon.
At the Grand Canyon. So I trained for 3.5 months, and I found an online program saying how to prepare for an ultra marathon. Thank you, Runners World. And I followed it. And then after about 3 weeks, I realized, because I was running a lot on asphalt, and I thought when it came to the running part, how hard can it be? You put one foot in front of the other. But when it comes to long distance running, it's actually a lot of technique, how you run, how you push your hips forward. And I played a lot of soccer, so I walk on the outside of my feet. I'm bow-legged. And that's not good when you do long distances. When you do 3 to 6 miles, because I've always ran for training camp to keep my weight down and for stamina, but this is so different. And so I started having problems with my knees. I had to stop running for 10 days, and then I got back into it again. And the furthest I went before the actual run was 30 miles. But I ran 24. I ran 16, and then my hips started hurting. And then I kept running. Mile 22, my knee started hurting, and then my hips started locking up. So by mile 24, I couldn't run anymore. But I'm doing 30 miles, and it was really hot, and I walked the last 6 miles. So I did 30, and I'm like, well, now I've done an ultra marathon, but I hadn't, because an ultra marathon is 32 miles. So I still hadn't done one. So the furthest I'd gone was 30, and I'm like, well, I ran a lot in Palos Verdes, which have a lot of trails and very steep. But nothing I could have done could have prepared me for what actually was in store for us. Both with the 22,000 feet elevation, the steepness of what we did. I was concerned about my hip and my knee, that it was going to hold up for the run. And what I had not prepared for was the heat. And I thought I was prepared because I knew it was going to be hot. They'd already told us. The week off, we were in close contact with the park rangers. And before, they said, we highly advise you guys not to do this. They said it might be as hot as 104 degrees down in the canyon. But it wasn't. It was 108 degrees in the canyon.
Oh, man.
But then when you go up the north rim, there's no shade at all. And the sun hits the rock, which heats up the rock. So it was actually 125 degrees as we were going up the north rim. And when we spoke to the park rangers, that was confirmed that day. But it could have been spots where it's as hot as 150. And I've never been in heat to the point where I felt claustrophobic, where like I need to get out of this, like I can't be here anymore.
Wow.
And that became a real problem. So I really didn't prepare. Like I didn't even know what trails we were running. People were asking me like, "Oh, what trails are you going up? What trails are you going down?" And I said, I don't know. And I'm just here for the ride. And out of the group of 8 people that started, I figured I was the weak link, because the other guys have trained. One of the guys had trained for over 10 years. He was originally supposed to do it a while back, and his father actually passed away as he was on the way to the airport. So this was for his dad, that he did this. And the night before, we walked up to the Grand Canyon. And have you guys been there?
No.
So it's called one of the 7 world wonders for a reason, right? It's few things where you can really say it's breathtaking. And when you walk up to, when you can see out over the canyon, it's breathtaking. And I looked out and I'm like, how are we even gonna get up? Like you could see the north rim on the other, like really far in the distance. I'm like, I don't even know where the trails are gonna be. Like, are we gonna climb it? And it almost felt like it at times, because it's like being on a Stairmaster for hours upon hours and just going. There's parts you can't run, you're walking. But I've been told to get a Garmin watch for my heart rate and I thought for distance. I didn't know that you really need to watch where your heart rate is, and especially in the heat. So one, I forgot my watch. I didn't have my watch with me. Almost
Typical
forgot
Marcus.
Yeah, right. Typical.
Almost forgot my running shoes the morning off.
Do it barefoot in your moccasins.
And then I'm like, oh, well, I got other people with me, so we know the distance. And me and my brother going up the North Rim, we were going ahead, and he was maybe 20 minutes ahead of me. But even if he was next to me, he didn't know either. And he's the experienced one. My brother's done several Ironmans and almost qualified for Kona. And he did the same mistake, where we kept trying to jog or trottle and go up. Because of the heat, we were in lactic acid threshold, that zone, for over 2 hours. And even just walking or jogging. So the guy that had trained the most, who was the most meticulous, what he was doing when he was coming up, he would stop at times and take a break. And I had this mindset, like, you can't stop. If you stop, that's the worst thing that you can do. Then it's hard to start again. And at one point, like, I started seeing black spots, and I was on average, 12 people die every single year at the Grand Canyon. In 2018, 17 people died. And it's usually from heat stroke, dehydration, and falling. And it's really narrow parts, and it's crazy. I'm not scared of heights, but it's really high. Like, if you go off, you die. And so, but after a while, you get used to it. Like, you're just up there and you're running. But at that point, I realized, I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't healthy. And my main concern was actually, if I pass out, or if I make it up there and they see how bad I am, they will nurse us up when you go up on the side. They're not gonna let me continue. And I'm gonna do this. I don't care how long it's gonna take, but I'm gonna finish this. And when I got up, I found my brother. He was lying, and he was in really bad shape. And he stood up and he started projectile vomiting. I filmed this, so I have it on camera, like a good brother does.
We'll share that.
Yeah. and then I'm like, okay, we got to cool down our systems. And so we ran. That's why it was supposed to be 50 miles, became 52, because we had to run to a store that was about a mile away. And then we had to cool down our systems. And
So wait, how long had you been running before this rest? Before this?
So this was 26 miles. It was halfway through, like was when we were up on the North Rim.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the guys, all 8 guys, made it over there, but 4 of them were in such bad shape they couldn't continue. There were 2 helicopter rescues that day from the Grand Canyon.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was bad. And these are tough guys. Like, one of them is known as the kilt warrior, the kilt ninja. He was on Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
He's on the national team in the US for OCR, obstacle course running, and like an absolute, monster athlete. And these guys were in good shape. And we got a little bit longer of a break because we got there before, right? So my brother was up there for almost 2 hours resting, just to cool down our systems. And then we started running down again. And once we started running down, then I knew, I'm like, nothing's gonna stop me. Like, I'm doing this. So we had parts going down where we were at 7 minute 40 seconds pace. But once, and it's funny, both his wife, my sister-in-law, and my wife Michelle, they said afterwards they weren't nervous, and Michelle, get really nervous when I fall and things like that. But here she wasn't nervous, and I'm like, here you should actually have been nervous because this was really like, again, people die from heat stroke, and I realized like I'm in bad shape here. And when we got down into the canyon again, I guess at that point they started getting nervous because they found out that 4 people weren't continuing. And my brother sent a text message to Michelle saying we should be there by 6:30, 6:45, so we can watch the sunset with you guys. And I'm so glad that message didn't go through because there's no reception down there. Because we got up at 9:25 at night and it was pitch black. And
so you're running in the dark.
Yeah, we started in the dark as well. At 4:20 when we started, it was pitch black as well. So we have headlamps and like little things that you don't think about. When is uphill, you walk slightly forward or run slightly forward, right? And when it's pitch black, you need to see the road in front of you, so you put your head down slightly. So the cramping in the neck and the shoulders. I ran for 17 hours and 5 minutes. A mile into it, I peed once. I had an espresso for breakfast. I had a 2.5 liter backpack that I filled and drank 7 times, which is 15 liters. That's almost 4 gallons of water. And I peed 2 more times in 17 hours and 5 minutes. That's how dehydrated we were. And we burned some 10,600 calories during the run.
How many?
10,600. That was my brother, so I figured I must be around the same.
Whoa.
I knew I was under on the calories because I can't, when I'm especially in heat and training hard, I can't eat a lot.
Yeah.
So I was just like living on the goose and the little like blocks, and thank you Goo, by the way, for helping with that. And I got electrolytes from Hilo, I think you guys know them as well, like the little squares with and that's what I would eat, and I had some bananas, but I was really low on calories. But even afterwards I ate quite a bit, but nothing. Like I woke up a couple of times in the middle of the night, when you drank a lot and you're like really hungover and you wake up and you just want to like pour 2 gallons of water down your throat. That's how I felt when I got back.
What'd you eat leading up to it? Did you like carb load?
The night before, I ate some pizza and spaghetti. I figured I'll burn through those calories. But I honestly, like, it's strange. Not until the night before. Like, I knew it was going to be tough, but I wouldn't say it naive because I knew it was tough. Like, I looked up some video. Like, it's a thing. It's almost like a cult thing among ultra marathons, like rim to rim to rim. Like, it's a thing in the Grand Canyon. And I watched a video with another guy was throwing up and they didn't make it, but like I knew I was gonna finish it, like as long as I didn't break an ankle or something and didn't get bit by a rattlesnake, I was gonna do it. But
how did you get your mindset there? Like did you decide that before you even were there? Were there times during the run where you're like, maybe I bit off more than I could chew, or just that there was never a single doubt?
It was never a single doubt that that my mind was gonna finish it. What I was concerned about was if my body was gonna be able to finish it. So, and even when we got up on the other side, like I just knew like this is gonna be done. Like I know I'm in bad shape right now. Just give me a little bit of time to recover. I'm gonna do this, and it's hard because I think other things I've done in my life has helped me develop that type of a mindset, right? I was in the special forces in the military, and David Goggins, you read the book. Have you read the book?
Not yet.
Navy SEAL. Amazing.
Yeah. Do you remember when he talks about the cookie jar?
Yeah.
Where like he talks about like every time it gets hard and you feel like you can't do this anymore, go to that cookie jar and take out one of the cookies something that you completed or succeeded in before. And I remember going up there and I'm like, I was in the special forces. We did for the Green Beret, even though in Sweden, Rangers have Green Berets, and you do a Ranger test, the Green Beret test. That's 120K in 3 days. That's 80 miles in 3 days. But with 75 pounds that we're carrying throughout the whole thing, right? And we only getting survival food and not enough sleep. So as I'm going up there, I'm like, I've done longer distances than this. I can do it. That was like my cookie, right? And then on the other side of my head, it's like, yeah, but not in 125 degrees of heat. And then I'm like, I did jiu-jitsu for 24 hours. This is not going to be 24 hours. I got this. And then, but not in 125 degrees.
Yeah.
And
Was it that constant battle in your head almost the whole time of, I can do this or I'm going to do this, but there's all this going on as well?
During those the last mile and a half took me over an hour. And during that hour, then it was that constant battle where like, I'm going to do this, but like, I guess the rational part of my brain is like, you're in serious trouble right now. And I realized as well, I'm like, okay, I'm close to the end, but if this happens on the way down, and we saw park rangers giving oxygen to a guy who was in really good shape. And then later on, I saw a woman lying when we were on this, coming back again in the darkness. She was lying on the trail. And she was really upset that the park rangers weren't helping her, but she wasn't dying. And like, they deal with real problems. I'm not saying if she listens to this that it wasn't serious, but you have to remember the only way down and up is up and down those trails. So park rangers, if they need to come up or go down the trails, they're coming up the same way or going down the same way. And when it comes to heat stroke, the one thing that you're battling, like once you start spiraling down, it's quick, you know. And the one thing that you're fighting is time. And coming down those trails, and maybe they can put me on a donkey. That's what they have going up there. But I realized I'm like, I am in trouble. Like this isn't the type of trouble where like, oh, I'm gonna have a headache. Like this could really be bad. But and I started getting a little bit concerned with myself because I was gonna finish it. I wasn't gonna stop no matter what. And then I realized like, but at the same time, the rational part is like, this is not good, you know. So that was a problem.
Was Liam on your mind when you were doing it?
Yeah, and that's another reason why I know that this isn't gonna. I'm not gonna stop this. You know, I'm finishing this. You know, it's for more than myself. Every time I do anything, and I've always had a strong mind, and I've always been. If I take something on, I'm gonna finish it. But this is a different level, you know. When you don't do it just for yourself, and knowing that. For me, a part of it was the symbolism of this, you know, when it comes to our fight, and that was the run as well, was 50-405. We did 50 miles for lowering the BAC to 0.05. The symbolism of taking on the Grand Canyon, you know, one of the 7 world wonders. And that's how I feel having done it as well. How we have opposition, and the opposition is dark lobbyists, and they have a lot more money than we have. An experience when it comes to politics and a network that we don't have. But if I've conquered the Grand Canyon, how are you? And it's almost like a message for myself, but also for them. How do you think you're gonna stop me when I know I'm fighting for the right thing and this is gonna happen? So if I can conquer the Grand Canyon, I can conquer these oppositions as well.
The scariest opponent is the one who never quits.
Yeah.